الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. One of the issues we are living and struggling, and it seems we are not doing well, although it is very important, is the economic issues. Now, as I said, Muslims, peoples with very little, they were very, positive. They were, doing the just and the right thing, taking care of each other. Understanding really what the relationship between man and his environment and resources, in justice and in development. Nowadays, of course, we can see the ummah, the Muslim ummah, they are poor, just supplying raw materials. Many of these nations striving even to the point of death. So we have great concern. We know there is something wrong with the economy, our economy and production. For example, if you sell one ton of, let us say, raw iron or raw phosphate or raw oil, this is how much? This is 3 tons. 1,000, 2,000, 5,000, it's okay. The value of this, it will be $5,000. But this go to Japan and to industrial nations. They send back to you chips and high tech and cameras. That 3 tons, it has millions, the value of millions. That's the difference between what the Muslim world is doing, and that is how the others. So they, producing, they taking it, producing, seriously. It is the man, how to prepare the man within his own worldview. Now, for the Muslims and their discussions about economy and this and that, they seem to be failing to really change, get our worldview, which make us understand our relationship with our wealth of the ummah, our raw materials, our development. Well, the reason is simple, because we are trying to correct, but really with the framework of capitalism. Before they went into socialism, but it failed, facing the capitalist economy. So here we are thinking under through the Western worldview. That's why we are not enthusiasts. We are not able to take things serious. It is not our worldview. We don't feel we are and also how we are doing it. We are taking instruments and try to play with them. You cannot change systems or create different philosophy of economics by playing with tools, and that is basically the banking. And we got to something we call Islamic banking, and it is bank is a bank, and a capitalist, as a matter of fact, what we call Islamic bank, it is more making injustice toward the borrowers, the one in need, the one to produce, to get the help. So the scholars, starting from the wrong end. At the same time, they criticize what they call Islamic banking. But when they still speak of Islamic banking. And this is giving, trust for the people, that this is Islamic. They don't know that this, economists talking about how they are seeing the injustice done by this what's so-called Islamic banking. So the important thing to know, playing with the banks is not going to produce Islamic economy of justice, of cooperation, of production, but it is giving them legality or shar'iyya in Arabic, that this is Islamic banking. So the first thing we should know, through tools you cannot change economy, the nature of economy. You cannot change the philosophy of the economy or the system of the economy. You will just playing with the tools, and it will be part of the capitalist economy at this stage. So what should we do? And also, when we speak of this, of this what's so-called Islamic banking, we should say the so-called Islamic banking, because a lot of people with good heart, and they will go to Islamic bank, what so-called Islamic banks, because it's Islamic, and they are fearful, but they really get much worse treatment, capitalist treatment. I remember, when the people in the States, they used only to rent houses, because if they get loans, they have to pay interest. Now the Islamic banking is not just getting interest, they're getting double interest, but different form and wording. But in the real sense, it is more than. If you want to buy a car, for example, if you want to get a loan, you go to the Islamic bank, and you say, loan, but they won't give you loan and get interest. So what they do for you? Buy a car less than cash. Buy a car more than cash, installments, and then sell the car for less than cash. So they get you from both ways, more than if you ask for a loan and get the car, and do whatever you want to do with the money, because you don't want a car, but it is just a game to play, and in many other forms doing really injustice to the needy or to the producer or whatsoever. Now, so the people in the state at that time, when it was this in 60s, they just rent houses, because if they take loans, they will pay interest. So I told them, come and look here. Now, do you think if you rent a house, you are not paying interest? Who bought this house through loans, you are paying the loan and the interest, and he will end up, owning the house itself. So you are not running away from interest. So if you are under that kind of system, play the game with its rules. Get the loan, buy the house, and if you have this way, the house will be yours. And if you are doing well in all your business according to capitalist rules, and you have wealth out of that, give to the poor, help the cause, and this way you play the game, but the end results, you are really helping people. But if you play it the other way, because of misunderstanding the whole situation and the system, you are just staying poor, helpless, and you are also you are playing it according to the capitalist system. You cannot change it by borrowing or not borrowing. So Alhamdulillah, they are now doing better and developing their. I remember, one of our well-known scholar, also that he is telling the people, don't take interest. So in the Muslim world, they have a lot of money kept in the Western banks and dealing with the Western banks. The Western banks, especially the American, they have to pay interest for the money kept with them. So even if they don't take it, they have to. So there was a huge amount of money out of the interest should be paid and taken by the owner of this money. So what to do? It was now accumulating. So they give it to the missionaries for noble cause, according to their, of course, understanding. So these people who keeping their money, they went to this authority and said, look here, because this is interest, we don't take it. It accumulated and giving to missionaries. He said, okay, now he realized what mistake he made. He said, take the money, but give it to the poor and to the people. But, so that you cannot play the game under certain system and get away with that kind of system. That means what? When I was in World Assembly of Muslim Youth, WAMI, we have a conference, and one of the that is what I call, what is called, at the end, the results of this. One of them is really to take seriously about Islamic banking and Islamic economics and try to understand it. It happened, that was, I think, 73 and then it was 77 in King Abdulaziz University. They had the first international conference about economics. In that, there was serious, effort to understand the philosophy of Islamic economics. Of course, it won't be done in one conference. What was happening at that time, of course, Muslim states was freed from colonialism, so they were really running a capitalist, so they don't like it. But then they have the socialist system, so they have a choice between capitalist and socialist, and they forgot about Islamic economics. And also these states not anymore welcoming Islamic point of view for certain reason at that time in the 50s and 60s and so on. So the result is, alhamdulillah, we are playing a capitalist system, calling it, through what is so-called Islamic banks. Now, if we are serious about developing, if we are serious about really bringing good system, we have to start with the philosophy first. What is the philosophy of Islamic economics? What is the relationship between the people and the wealth of the society? How to distribute? What is the right of everybody? And in which way we do justice and we do, compassion. This has to be understood, and then you can build the system. And when you build a system, you can develop the tools. But you start with tools, forget about it. So I advise personally, this point of view, we have to go back first to the philosophy, and from there we establish the system, and from there we get to the tools to which make it possible to achieve really Islamic economics, and with all the justice and compassion, it will be there. The first book I wrote myself, it was 59 and published by Al-Khanji, 1960. What was the title? I was a graduate of School of Commerce, specialized in political science. So I have an idea about economics and administration and so forth. The title of that book, The Theory of Islamic Economics, philosophy, and that is the situation of the modern situation. So that is what we call, is studying what is the philosophy first, and then how to apply it and that is what we now call Islamization. It is since 1959. I realize really you have to start with the philosophy, and then you go to the practice and your modern situation, time and space. I wrote, the reason why I wrote that book. There was another book about Islamic economics by a friend from Al-Azhar, and when I read that, he gave it to me to read it, So if I have any remarks, I tell him. When I read the book, I find hadith which does nothing to do with what I understood from fiqh. That creates a problem. I think if there's a problem, how to solve. So I sat and looked at it. So I took the ayahs and the hadith which deal with the principles, put them there, and I reached what kind of philosophy there, and what kind of relationships there, and then I study the Sunnah as application. So some of these is still applicable, some of them with some change, some of them they are now it's nullified. It has nothing to do with the time and space. It was application at the time of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And then I came to the modern, especially industrial system, which at the time that was the issue, and I also looked at it and suggested certain policies. Later, when I was in the IIUM, I wrote a paper published in 2 articles in the journal of IIUM of economics, and there I tried to apply it to the economy of knowledge. So what I'm suggesting here, it is not, and I'm not an economist, but the big picture is clear, and I put some foundations. Now we hope that our Muslim economists to go back and search seriously, compare the different philosophies and different systems, and what they are the tools to really make Islamic economics reality. They are qualified, they can do a better job, but in the same direction. Other than that, we just would waste our time and make injustice and abuse the word Islamic. So, inshallah, IIUM and universities taking the same line of Islamization and asala and muasara, that be able to produce the Islamic economics and to make to give humanity the proper and the right relationships of their living at this time. Inshallah, they are qualified, they are serious, they just should know where to start, and inshallah will reach. Assalamu alaikum.